So I still hesitate a lot, particularly when it comes to, I guess, the purpose and like the mission in my life. Um, I have a strong sense that I'm not living it right now, but I'd like to think I'm moving in the right direction. Um, but I'll ask myself often, like, why not jump step it? Like, why is it a slow progression? What are the things that are slowing me down? What are the things that I'm hesitating about? And what I'm starting to think is that it comes down to this idea that um, living kind of your best life, quote unquote, which for me would mean like being super honest with yourself and figuring out what really matters to you, what you value, and then having the courage to go and the mental toughness to go and do that stuff. Um, I think where I've struggled historically is that I've kind of just made this blind assumption that by doing that, by living your best life, you're kind of just you're removing all restrictions, right? There's no limitations. You just do whatever it is that almost in like a primal sense makes you happy and brings you pleasure and that you value, and you just go after that. And there's like this sentiment or this notion of selfishness in that. Like no restrictions. You just go. You just do it. That's what it means to live your best life. And I think that's a fallacy, or at least for me it is. And I think that's why I've struggled. I don't think I'm comfortable with the idea that you remove all restrictions, right? All limitations, and you just go with whatever, you're dreaming of or is on your bucket list or whatever you want in life. You just go get it. In theory, right? That makes sense, seemingly, right? It's probably a little illogical, but it's not big illogical. In real life, there are limitations, there are restrictions, and some of them are functional. Some of them aren't. Some of them are nonsense, right? Some of the things that we create and we think are real, or somebody tells us is real, whatever it might be. But there's some that are real. I think, as kind of an evolved species with the mental capacity that we have, the task, the job, the right way to do it has to be thoughtful and say, let me look at everything in my life, whatever that might be, right? Family, career aspirations, if you have children or not, what you believe, religious, spiritual things, whatever the things are, right? You have to put them all out on the table, plus those primal things, right? Those base value drivers, the things that just bring you pleasure. You have to put it all out on the table. And in a deliberate, thoughtful, logical, rational, humble, empathetic, et cetera way, you need to look at all those things and actually make some decisions and say, listen, my family means a ton to me. My kids mean a ton to me, and raising them the right way and giving them certain things in life and certain opportunities is important. So I can't just go, totally free and no restrictions and just act as if that doesn't exist. That does exist. Or maybe it's something else, right? Maybe it's your career and what you want to achieve, or you want to help people in some way and give back to your community, or you believe in God, right? There's some religious, whatever it is. Figure out what those real restrictions are, how they tie into your overall value drivers and what you want out of life. And then you can make that decision to live your quote unquote best life because it's thoughtful and it's deliberate and you've done the work, you've run the math and you see what you actually value most and you've pressure tested it and you've challenged it yourself. Then you can have the confidence and the courage to go do those things. But for me, I think I've kind of made it this all or nothing, more of a binary thing where like either I live the life I live now, which is, I'm not really living my best life. I know that I'm sacrificing because I'm trying to plug all these holes and meet all these restrictions, or I remove them all and I just go. There's a better there's a better path there. It's more nuanced as everything is. There's a middle ground. It's a spectrum that you need to find that sweet spot on. And as you would expect, or at least as I would expect, the way you find that sweet spot is logical, mathematical logic that helps you think through. It doesn't dismiss emotions. It doesn't dismiss your base pleasure and value drives and all that. It brings it all together. And you can actually get that clarity to see what actually matters to me. And then I think that next step, that courage it takes to actually go and do it, becomes so much easier because you've done the work. And that gives you the confidence that that's what you should be going after.